Love is the oldest illusion known to man. It begins like a fire in winter, warm, intoxicating, irresistible. You think it's survival, you think it's salvation, but you don't see that hidden within the flame, the smoke that will choke you, the ember that will scorch your soul. This is the tale of a man who gave everything, and was destroyed by the very woman he worshipped. His name was Daniel. Not weak, not timid, just a man raised to believe that loyalty was currency, that sacrifice was proof of love, and that commitment was the iron chain that kept her souls bound. He met her in a bookstore. Her name was Clarissa, a girl with a smile sharp enough to disarm suspicion, and eyes that carried the ocean mysterious, vast, pulling him into a tide he couldn't swim against. Daniel wasn't chasing women, he was chasing purpose. But when she looked at him that day, brushing her hair behind her ear, while pretending to glance at poetry, something inside him cracked open. He thought he found it his forever. 4 months, he courted her with relentless devotion, dinners he could barely afford, long walks under city lights, nights of listening to her dreams, as if they were commandments. And she gave back just enough. A kiss at the right time, a tear during a sad story. I whispered, "I've never met anyone like you." Daniel was hooked. 6 months in, Daniel was no longer just her boyfriend, he was her shield. She painted her life as tragedy, an ex who scarred her, a family that didn't understand her, a world too cruel for her fragile soul. And Daniel, the rescuer, swallowed every word. He promised her safety, stability, and undying commitment. He cut off nights with friends because she needed him. He picked up extra shifts to buy her gifts that made her smile. He silenced his doubts because love, he thought, required patience. She had become the sun in his sky, and everything else faded into shadow. But the truth: when a man makes a woman his entire world, he doesn't realize he just shrunk the universe. He becomes orbit, she becomes gravity. And one day, she decides if he stays or if he falls. It happened one rainy night. Daniel finished work early, flowers in hand, ready to surprise her. When he entered her apartment, he noticed the silence first. Not peaceful silence, awkward silence. Heavy, thick, suffocating. She was there, sitting on the couch, her phone clutched like a weapon. When she saw him, she flinched. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" she asked, almost defensive. He laughed it off, kissed her cheek, handed her the flowers, but something in her eyes. It wasn't joy, it was panic. The scent of another man's cologne lingered faintly in the room. But Daniel, blinded by devotion, shoved the thought aside. Love makes men rewrite reality. He told himself he was paranoid. He told himself she was tired. But prophecy whispers to those who listen. When the silence in a woman's room feels heavier than her smile, betrayal is already on the table. Weeks passed, the unease grew, late replies, girls' nights that felt too frequent, her laughter at texts she never showed him. Finally, one night, Daniel followed the gnawing in his gut instead of his heart. Clarissa said she was going to visit her cousin. Instead, Daniel trailed her car through the winding streets of the city. And there it was, the bar on the corner of 8th Street, the red glow of neon lights. Clarissa stepping out of her car, hair done in a way she never styled for him. She walked inside, and minutes later, another man's arms wrapped around her waist. Daniel froze, his lungs locked. The world slowed. That was the moment the fire of devotion turned into the frost of betrayal. He didn't storm in, he didn't shout, no. He watched. Like a prophet watching doom unfold, exactly as foretold. Her lips touched another man's lips. Her hands clung to another man's shirt. And Daniel, outside in the rain, realized something. All those nights of sacrifice, all those promises, all those hours spent believing she was fragile, special, different. It was all a lie. He drove home in silence. His heart wasn't beating, it was cracking. And with every crack came the venomous truth he had denied. She never loved him the way he loved her. She never saw his commitment as sacred, only as convenient. She wasn't a queen in need of saving. She was a player waiting for her next move. The next day, she came over, pretending nothing happened, smiling, hugging, asking how his day was. And Daniel, holding back the storm in his chest, simply asked, "Who is he?" The blood drained from her face. Her lips trembled, searching for lies. But her eyes betrayed her before her tongue could. "Daniel, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think," he cut her off. His voice was calm, the calm of a man who finally saw the truth. Tears came, excuses followed. "I was confused. It was a mistake. I love you, not him." But her words no longer had power. When trust is shattered, love becomes noise. Daniel realized then the brutal law of love. Commitment without respect is slavery. Sacrifice without reciprocity is suicide. And love without loyalty is nothing but theater. He had given her devotion, and she gave him deception. He had built a kingdom of loyalty, and she had poisoned the throne. And so he ended it not with rage, not with violence, but with clarity. He looked her dead in the eye and said, "You will remember me as the man who would have given you everything. And you will regret that you threw it away for nothing." He walked out. And with every step, he killed the man. He used to be the man who believed love was enough. The man who thought commitment guaranteed loyalty. Brothers, listen. This story is not just Daniel's. It is prophecy written across generations of men who believe too much in a woman's words and not enough in her actions. Love is not measured by how much you sacrifice. It is measured by how much she respects what you sacrifice. If respect dies, love is already a corpse. If loyalty dies, commitment is already a chain choking you. If trust dies, betrayal is already written in the script. And the prophecy remains. When a man makes a woman his entire world, he forgets that her world may not have him at its center. This is just the beginning. Daniel's story does not end here. Betrayal is not the end of a man, it is the rebirth. The fire that purges weakness, the storm that shapes steel. Part 2 will reveal what Daniel did with his broken heart, how betrayal forged him into something darker, stronger, unshakable. But for now, remember this: a man who loves without boundaries becomes a man destroyed without mercy. And when you give your soul to someone unworthy, you don't just lose her, you lose yourself. When a man walks away from betrayal, he does not walk into peace, he walks into war. Not against the woman who betrayed him, but against himself, against the voices that whisper weakness, against the grief that drags him toward the abyss. This is where Daniel's story continues. The night after Clarisse's tears fell useless on his floor, he stepped into a new world, one of silence, emptiness, and brutal awakening. Daniel returned to his apartment. It was not a home anymore. It was a battlefield. Every corner whispered her name. The couch carried her perfume. The kitchen remembered her laughter. The bed, God. The bed was a grave of memories. And in that silence, the enemy appeared. Not Clarissa, not the man she betrayed him with, but the voice that said, "You weren't enough." The voice that said, "If you had given more, she would have stayed." The voice that said, "Love is all you had, and now you are nothing." This is the abyss every betrayed man knows. The abyss where weakness calls, where a bottle of whiskey, like medicine, where late-night texts to her look like salvation, where self-pity feels like a warm blanket. Daniel stared into it. He almost fell. But prophecy whispered, the abyss does not swallow you unless you choose to jump. 3 nights after walking away, Daniel sat at his desk, hands trembling, staring at his phone. Her number still lit the screen. His thumb hovered over the call button. And then, rage. He slammed the phone onto the table so hard the screen cracked. His chest heaved, his pulse thundered. He shouted, not at her, not at the world, but at himself, never again. That night, Daniel made a vow, not to love again. Not to chase revenge, but to rise. To take the same fire that burned him and forge it into steel. He opened his notebook, the same one he once filled with poems for Clarissa, and tore the pages out, one by one, until it was empty. Then he wrote new words. I will rebuild, I will rise. I will never bow to weakness again. That was the night Daniel died as a lover, and was reborn as a warrior. Transformation does not come with comfort. It comes with pain. Daniel knew this. He welcomed it. He built a new routine. Wake at 5 a.m., no excuses. Run until his lungs screamed. Lift until his muscles tore. Write until his thoughts turned sharp as knives. He treated heartbreak like boot camp. Every ounce of grief became fuel. Every memory of Clarissa's betrayal became weight on the barbell. Miles on the road, scars on his soul. Friends called him obsessed. They said, move on, man, just date someone else. But Daniel wasn't looking for distraction. He was looking for resurrection. Love had killed him. Betrayal had buried him. Now discipline would dig him out of the grave. One night, months into his transformation, Daniel walked past the same bar where he saw Clarissa betray him. The neon lights glared like demons. He froze, heart pounding. Memories clawed at him, trying to drag him back into the abyss. But this time, something had changed. He didn't feel grief. He didn't feel longing. He felt clarity. He whispered to himself, she was not the end of me. She was the beginning of me. And he walked on, stronger, sharper, free. That is the moment every man must reach, when the sight of betrayal no longer cuts you, but reminds you of the strength you forged in its fire. By the end of that year, Daniel was unrecognizable. The soft eyes that once begged for love had turned into steel. The slouched posture of a man carrying heartbreak had transformed into the frame of a soldier. But more than his body, it was his spirit that changed. He no longer sought validation from women. He no longer mistook sacrifice for love. He no longer confused loyalty with slavery. Now, he lived by new commandments. Weakness is a choice. Strength is a decision. You're either building or destroying yourself every day. Choose wisely. If you fail, fail forward. But if you quit, you're done. These were not empty lines. They were his scars turned into scripture. Daniel's transformation is not just his story, it is the prophecy for every man who has been betrayed. Understand this: betrayal is not the end. Betrayal is the revelation. It shows you the truth about the world, about women, about yourself. It burns away illusion so you can see reality. Love makes you soft. Betrayal makes you sharp. Commitment blinds you. Betrayal makes you see. Devotion weakens you. Betrayal strengthens you. But only if you choose it. Most men don't. Most men drown in the abyss. They drink, they beg, they chase, they collapse, they stay broken. Daniel did not. And that is why his name became prophecy. A man betrayed, a man destroyed, a man reborn. Pain is the anvil. Discipline is the hammer. Betrayal is the fire. Together, they forge a new man. Daniel's journey is not over. The world does not bow to men who rise once it tests them again and again. And in my next video, Daniel's rebirth will be tested in the cruelest way, when Clarissa returns, not as a lover, but as a ghost from the past, trying to reclaim the man she once destroyed. But that, brother, is the next prophecy. For now, remember this, a man betrayed is not a man broken. He's a man chosen to rise, to harden, to conquer. But only if he decides that weakness is dead and strength is his only path.